I was bullied at school. Grant Cardone is an interesting character. The school system sets you up to be broke.
To be one of those names might take...
Look, not everyone wants to be a multi-millionaire, but I don't want my kids to be conditioned either. Never sell them. I mean, that's my advice. Never sell properties. They're not going to build any more land.
What would be the reason for selling it? Just because you need the cash?
So for me, I want to build generational wealth. I revolutionised the martial art, put music on the lessons. I got kicked out of the martial arts organisation I belonged to because I did that. People saying I want to be like Bruce Lee. Really? You want to be dead at 32? And then his best mate, Michael Jackson.
Was there a real voice?
Yeah. If you go watch back...
Is it like kind of like Barry White or something?
Like Michael Jackson had a very deep voice. You honestly think you can become the most famous man in the world? Earn $8 billion is what they estimate he's earned in his lifetime. The guy was a genius. He was another level of intelligence. He knew how to manipulate you with sticky tape on his hand, trousers that were too short, one white glove. Do you really think he's a clown? Then do you think I would hang around owning one of the biggest children's organisations in the world with a freaking child molester?
It's time!
This is the Battle Approved podcast with your host, Chris James.
Battle Approved!
Hey Matt, welcome to the Battle Approved podcast, man.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So Battle Approved, I like the name. Obviously, we came up with it. I feel that you're definitely battle approved in what you've done and your kind of story and walk. For someone that hasn't met you before, I know it's a bit of a long-winded story, but how did you, okay, so everyone is putting you up and saying you were the bodyguard of Michael Jackson. That's like the key thing.
Yeah.
But that didn't just happen straight away.
No.
How did you kind of get into martial arts and wanting to be like an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I was bullied at school. You
were bullied?
Bullied.
Were you, still as tall as you were then, or?
No, I was tiny, skinny, naive looking. You wouldn't believe it. I was like...
Bullied as in people hitting you and stuff like that? Really?
Kid used to kick the life out of me at school. We're good friends now. We met on national TV a few years back.
First time him up live on TV.
Wow, he contacted me and he said, I'm really sorry for the way I treated you at school. And I'm like, it's called Anthony. I said, Anthony, what are you apologising for? Look what you've done. You built this multi-million pound company, various companies, and mentored people who've changed, hundreds, if not millions of kids' lives through anti-bullying programs and so on. And I got to do some cool things, like hang out with, obviously, Michael Jackson, become his bodyguard and close friend for 10 years and all his inner circle. None of that would have happened if you didn't bully me, because him bullying me made me start martial arts. I thought I could defend myself. I was a kid in class that came along to a martial arts class.
Was that actually in your head as a kid, almost fantasizing, if you, you wanted to beat this person up or something? Or
I can't really even remember, because I'm 45 now, and that was a long time ago. But yeah, clearly, I remember the kid sat next to me, and I wish I could remember his name, because I'd have to shake his hand. He said, come along to martial arts with me. He was doing one called jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that. It wasn't for me. I didn't like...
Jiu-jitsu back then, it must have been the only place in England that is doing it.
Yeah, it was pretty hardcore. It was very different. It's a lot more modernised now. I just didn't feel like the idea of rolling over sweaty men and getting thrown and all this type of stuff. But in the room next door, there was taekwondo.
Okay.
And I had long legs, obviously not... I'm 6'4" now, not back then I did, but I still had long legs for my age. I could already do the kicks and the splits and all the rest of it. So that fitted in for me. So finally, after failing everything at school, I had something, after school, where I'd get praise from my instructor. I was good at it. I was really good at it. And I was training 6 days a week, 3 hours a night. I was just complete martial arts, absolute fanatic.
So you're totally into it.
Yeah, but I'd wake up. Because back then you had one TV in the household, didn't you? And I got 3 younger brothers, and my mum and dad did not approve of me doing martial arts at all. They thought it was legalised violence. They hated it. I dragged out the 3-lesson trial for as much long as I could, and eventually convinced my mum to let me go. But I would get up at 4 a.m. and put on the latest Bruce Lee film or Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I was just would read all the books, study, and the school thing for me. They got it wrong. I mean, I don't agree with the school system anyway. I think it's outdated.
Back then it was you mentioned taekwondo, and you haven't said much about your instructor, but they were saying good things about you. Well done, Matt. Back back in school back then, like whether it's like 80s, 90s, whatever, you see our teachers now, how amazing they are, and that they're like kind of pushing the kids to do stuff. That's what I see in America.
The
anyway.
UK is very different.
Oh, is it still?
UK is like Dark Ages, teaching how to draw dinosaurs and.
So they're still kind of teachers are still mean and stuff.
Yeah. I'll give you an example. I got called into an emergency parents' evening I got 6 kids, and I got a son called Zach, and he was 8 at the time. He's 10 now, and an emergency parents' evening. So they wanted my wife and me there to speak to his teacher alone, and my wife hates it when this happens because I'm self-made and I left school with no qualification. I can't write as well. So they assumed I was right-handed like they do most kids, but I was left-handed. They found out I was about 13, 14. They tried to correct it. It was too late. So I can kind of scribble to myself, but it's not helped me back. I just have to sign autographs, sign my name, and that's basically been it. In hotels, it sometimes was a challenge because I used to turn up, but then I'd hand the form to register, log into the hotel, register in, and
they wanted your address and everything.
Yeah, well, my wife would fill that out, hand it back to me, and I'd just sign the bottom. Nowadays, it's even easier because it's all on the iPad, and I just squiggle it and type it, so I can read perfectly fine. My writing, my handwriting is just terrible. But no, so they called me in for this parent evening, and we got
what
2.
What's Zach done here?
Well, yeah, I thought it was major. They want to see this right away. We've got 3 serious things. And
3 things.
3 things. And in England, I don't know how it is in the States, but they get you to sit on the kiddie seats, which are like tiny, and I'm 6'4", so that was interesting. I was looking at this lady who's teaching my kid to get rich. Effectively, that's what school is full about, right? Teaching your children how to go on and be successful when they leave school, go to college, go to university. That's the plan they want for you. And they don't like being opposite me because I don't conform to the norm. I mean, I made my money without all of this education, leaving school at 16, without living in a bedsit, nothing. So she said, we've got 3 major problems with Zach. First one is handwriting is too big. And I stared at her in disbelief, and my wife's like, no, don't you dare. Don't you go off on one. Then she said, his times tables, like 6 + 6 equals blah, 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 12 + 12. When he does the computer on that, he's too slow on doing it. And the third one is he's not taking PE, physical education, or they call it in the States. They're not taking PE seriously enough. Although my boy plays football day and night when he's at home. He's training all the time and he's in good shape. Okay, so I thought, I've had enough of this now. I pay a lot in my tax. This school system should be updated. I said, let's talk about this. So in 10 years' time, Zach will be 18. He'll be long left school by that point. UK, you leave school at 16.
Handwriting will be smaller then as well.
Yeah, and also, why are we talking about handwriting for? I said to her, you do realise I can't write? Because I read that somewhere, yeah. You do realise that I've made in my lifetime, I've made over $500 million in sales. She goes, yeah, I do. And it's not going to affect him. And why are you complaining about how big his handwriting is? Because time he leaves school, it'll be non-existent. Because even now, you could just hold your phone, talk, and it types for you.
I thought they'd be all on their laptops.
Oh, so I said, give him a keyboard. That was my answer. I can solve these 3 problems for you. Give him a keyboard. That's that problem we've got. Oh, we can't do that. We don't have computers. Why don't you have computers? This is like last 2 years ago, by the way. Oh, wow. Why don't you have computers? How ridiculous is that? I mean, in 10 years' time, he's not going to be doing anything. You don't do it now. I've never had to do it. Not hold me back at all. Anyway,
you don't have to write anymore. And if you do, your handwriting is bad because you haven't done it for so long anyway.
She got a bit irate with me, a bit angry, and then we got to the next subject, times tables. I said, fine, solve that for you. Give him a calculator. Do on everything now, on your phones, everything, and who knows what's going to be out when Zach leaves school. Oh, we can't do that. He needs to work out in his head. No, who does that? And all this algebra stuff. And then the next bit, I've got a very grossly overweight school teacher here telling me that my boy, who's 8, who's in good shape, who loves football and plays in late at night in the garden till it's dark, she's telling me, advising me that my son
is not quite good enough.
And she is grossly overweight, not looking after herself. So I said to her, look, with all respect, Mrs. Teacher, I don't think you're one to advise on my child on physical education. It'd be like a PT.
You said that.
I said that to her. It'd be like a PT, personal trainer, who's in worse shape than her client. And she got pretty nasty to me. I said, I'm sorry, but we're on 2 different levels here. I know you want my son to do well when he leaves school. You only come to work because you're broke. You come to work because you want to earn a salary to pay your mortgage or your rent. If I said to you, you're not going to get paid, will you come to work? She said, oh, you can't ask me that. So does I ask the question? Because no, of course I wouldn't. So you don't want to be here. You're doing it to pay the bills. So I've basically got a broke person, out of shape person, trying to teach my kid how to leave school and be successful and get in shape. How does that add up to you? And she's like, well, I'm a school teacher. And I said, that's all well and good, but it doesn't make sense. The system's completely outdated. I mean, they learn this stuff that doesn't mean...
Crazy. And those 3 things weren't even bad.
And not just that, he was sat next to me. And what I did to my son's confidence. Confidence is everything in life. You know that?
Yeah, just a tiny thing can put a
came
kid
out
down.
crying.
Oh,
yeah. So I'm pulling them out of my boys. So I've got 2 boys, Zach and Hero, and my younger daughter, Micheal. I'm pulling them out. As soon as they finish primary school, they're not going to secondary school. That's the end of it. You can't have 30, 40 kids and all in the same way. And I see this at a big level. I've got literally hundreds of thousands of students. So I see this on a massive level.
Yeah.
The school system is completely outdated. It's a babysitting service. And I had a conversation with a head teacher who's a good friend of mine. And I said, be honest with me, off the record, if I home educated my kids, what are we talking? How hard is it going to be? Because, Matt, you log into the same system that we log in, but difference will be it will take an hour and a half, 4 days a week. Because all the other stuff we have is called fillers. Because we have to have the time of day there to fill the kids' time so parents can go out to work. It's like a babysitting service, basically, glorified babysitting service, so they can pay tax. Because employees pay the most tax, don't they?
Right.
I don't know how it works in the States, but pay slips over here, tax, NI, pension contribution, you live on what's left.
Right.
If you work for yourself, you pay tax last after all your expenses have come off. And I said, really? So he can learn exactly the same at school and have more of his life and go to all these home ed clubs, have the social element, because that's the myth, isn't it? Home education is a myth. They have more days out, football things, activities. There's a whole thing out there now. And hour and a half, 4 days a week. And plus, he can hang out with me and learn real life lessons. And my billionaire mates...
They can go on the road with you and stuff.
And he loves watching me go to public speaking, mentoring business people, go doing webinars. He loves that. And the lessons he's going to learn by being around multimillionaires and billionaires who think differently, just like I did when we get onto that subject when I was 18, is you can't put a price on it. So I think the whole, in the UK anyway, school system is screwed. It's outdated, knackered, over, needs to be sorted out. It's a babysitting service, glorified babysitting service.
I can't think of the first name, but have you heard the Cardone family?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know he's
I know
got...
Grant, yeah.
Okay. So
yeah,
it's almost like the UK version of that, because if your kids were going...
Grant's been very successful. Grant and Elena, I know from Clubhouse in those days. If you hanged out in Clubhouse, we were in that. I won't say the word because you might get a strike on your YouTube channel. But it's mad, we can't even say that. But where we had to stay in home for that period of time, I don't know how bad it was in Phoenix, but it was
pretty relaxed.
It went on for a couple of years.
It was good.
Yeah,
it was fine.
Grant Cardone is an interesting character because it's Sabrina and Scarlett, his kids.
Yeah.
He used to pop in the clubhouse.
Like at that age, they're so positive.
Public speaking.
It's amazing.
Meeting big stars, analysing deals, real estate deals. He's got it down. And all eyes were on him. And he got a lot of criticism, Grant did, and his wife too. But he's pulled it off. Those girls look like they're awesome. And they got a social element.
You'd be totally proud if that was your daughter kind of thing.
Yeah, and they're hanging out with their dad. They learn the stuff. Why do they want to go to school? But over in the UK... Like when we went, I don't know how old you are, I'm 45, right? So
56 now, actually.
56. So when you went to secondary school, it was very different. Yep. You certainly wouldn't touch alcohol unless you maybe a few beers. People would try and push you.
You go to pub at 15 and stuff.
Yeah. UK now, secondary school, you're talking cocaine is seen like a glass of wine. It's just drugs and...
So you want to, like, if you got kids of that age now, like, so in America, it's like homeschooling and it's totally standard. Yeah. Like, you can have friends in the neighborhood that are being homeschooled, some are going to public school, and no one's, like, judging you on any of that.
You're going to get judged there, but I've been judged all my life, and I like being judged.
But homeschooling in the UK, is it like it's almost like you're going to be one of...
It's growing.
Okay.
And it was born out of the pandemic.
Is it called homeschooling?
It's called home education.
Home education. Okay.
Yeah, home ed, they call it.
Okay, home ed.
And they got all these activities. Because the myth to it is your kid's going to have social anxiety. It's nonsense.
Yeah, like you can think like, oh, they're not going to be at school, so they're not going to have friends, and they're not going to be. But there's so much after school stuff you can
And
do.
they're hanging out with people who are like-minded. And you all know the saying, your network is your net worth. The 5 people you hang around with is who you're going to become. So the home ed people tend to be people who are thinking out of the box, entrepreneurial, and they're not going to be pulled into this whole drug scene and crime.
So I think, like, sorry for butting in, but like so Battle Approved Motors, it's all off-road racing and stuff. So just whack it into sports. If your kid's doing any type of sport, when they start becoming like semi-pro, which you can do very young now, and start making money, it wasn't like before where you couldn't get paid doing any sports, like the Olympics. All these, they get paid now, sponsorship and everything. They do homeschooling. And they all get A, and the parents go, as long as you're getting A's, like they're getting A's. I never got A's. I got like maybe C's, maybe got a B- and stuff. All these smart kids now, they're all getting A's, and they're all on the road doing sports and stuff. So they're doing amazing at school and amazing at the sport, and they've got amazing friends that are all doing similar things, like-minded, like you're saying.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe the belief is like, at least get your kid away from maybe I don't want to say bad kids, because I don't believe there are bad kids. They just get into the wrong situations. But if they're your own kids, then at least to 18, protect them all the way up to 18 the best you can, educate
You got
them.
to. It goes so quick.
And you have to do that, right?
You have to. I mean, my 3 oldest are 17, 18 and 21, and that's gone like a flash. Mm-hmm. And I think, do you know what it comes down to, right, is that the school system, if you want to be a doctor or a dentist, an attorney, lawyer, solicitor, whatever you call it,
schooling all the way,
an accountant, you've got no choice. And that's fair enough.
That, yeah.
But the school system sets you up to be broke. Not because most people I know go to university and they come out of university 27, 28, massive student loans, in debt, great degrees, but they can get a career or job in what they studied for. Mm-hmm. And they end up working in some job they don't like. One of my brothers is a great example of that. He came out of education at, I think, 28 or so. He studied what he wanted to do, his passion. He's a very academic, very intelligent guy. And the time he came out broke, student loan, all the rest of it. Time at that age, I was worth 30 million. And I got no qualifications. So the school system sets you up to fail.
Your brother should have been, if he was smart, he should have been your manager.
Yeah.
Get a cut of that.
Yeah, well, we're like completely polar opposites to each other and probably kill each other. But he's academic. And my mum's the same. She came from, she's one of 14 children. And it was always taught on her, go to school, go to college, university, get good qualifications. And literally all 14, all my aunties and uncles, they've all got degrees. My mum became a solicitor, but it don't get you anywhere. You're still a slave working for someone else. And it
takes a long time to like maybe get your name, like all the names and solicitors, blah, 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 blah. To be one of those names might take 20
Look, not
years.
everyone wants to be a multimillionaire, but I don't want my kids to be conditioned either that this is the way you got to be. And it comes from, I have this saying, love your family, but don't take advice from them. And don't take advice from someone who earns less than you. Because that's two things. Because generations have changed things. So if we go back to like a standard myth in the UK anyway, you must pay your mortgage off. You must buy a house, pay your mortgage off. America's a bit more in tune with this than what the UK is. Grant Cardone puts this across very well.
It's like, maybe because he's from real estate, right? So he's like going like own 50 homes.
So I'm saying I got the biggest property portfolio in the southwest of the UK, and hundreds of homes. I do it for buy to let. I've been buying them since I was 18, and the theory of it is, the truth of the matter is that through generations things change very quick. So if we look at our grandparents, they were dealing with World War II over here in the UK. Yeah. They had bombs coming down.
Right.
There was no way of communicating by mobile phones. My granddad and grandma couldn't do that. My granddad was in Germany fighting. He didn't know. She didn't know if he was alive. It was letters, snail mail.
Separated.
Yeah. So for them to get a home for $2,000, he used to tell me back then, in 1945 or something, then it was an achievement. And then he wants to stay in that home because he's had such a terrible time with bombs coming down. Yeah. That's an achievement for them. And they live in that. And for me, I couldn't think of anything worse. They lived in that same house for 78 years. They lived to the late 90s. And they sold it to £300,000 in the end. £250,000 in the end.
They
And they
probably
did
had
nothing
do you
to
think they had a good life though? Because like it was a little bit simpler then, and they probably had a simple,
They were
really
happy
nice,
because they gone
enjoyable
through
life.
hell and back. I mean, we mowed about what we went through in 2020
Yeah,
on the stay-at-home
getting bombed.
situation, but they had bombs coming down and they could have been killed at any time. So their advice to their kids, to my parents, would be buy a home, pay your mortgage off.
Okay.
And now that's moved on now where they've seen people use leverage and banks to be able to buy investments and so forth. But in fact, the worst thing you could do is pay your mortgage off. It's the cheapest money to borrow. You can go and put deposits on those homes. And at one stage, sorry to tell everyone, but you're going to die. And the whole idea is you take out life insurance so it kills off your mortgage when you die. So they will make sure, if you go to a bank now and say, I want to buy a home for myself, they'll make sure you've got adequate life insurance to cover your mortgage in place. So they're not going to give you the money on the hope that you're going to pay it. If you die and owe all this money, they're going to make sure.
How old is the life insurance thing, like on mortgages? Like having to show, is that in the last 10 years or something? Like
life insurance. So if you want to get a mortgage over here, you need to have enough equity in the home.
You show your life insurance thing?
Yeah, they'll make you cover life insurance to cover at least the debt.
Oh, okay.
So if you're paying your mortgage off, you're doing the banks a favour because the life insurance kicks in and just wipes off your... So I've got friends who've done this. They paid off their mortgage. They're really happy. One of their partners dies. Life insurance is ready to pay out. Gives them a lump sum, but then they're looking to pay the mortgage off. Oh, we've already paid it off. Why would you do that? And also, you're going to want to downsize your house, aren't you? Because the kids are going to leave home.
Yeah.
And you're not going to want to now, like our grandparents did, stay in the same house forever because things have moved on now. And technology has moved on. So the whole thinking has changed. So I believe in owning your own home. I go against Grant's advice on that, but mortgage it to hilt, it's the cheapest money to borrow, and buy investments with passive income coming in, so that one day when you buy a home, your passive income pays for your main residence. You can have an incredible home, and you never have to worry about paying your house, because your home is not an asset. If you stop paying your mortgage or your council tax we have over here, or electricity here, and it'll be taken off you. Mm-hmm. It's an asset, something that brings in money. Your home doesn't. It loses money because you're living in it. So if you've got assets bringing in money, paying for that home, it's okay. Money's working for you. You're not working for money, and that's what I teach and mentor entrepreneurs to do.
On the when you're saying passive income, how do you advise someone to, like, what should they invest in? Like, should you go like, well, what are you passionate about, or do you follow the crowd or whatever?
Well, I'm a living example of it. I turned my passion into my profession. Everyone told me I couldn't do it.
So you're a big believer in follow your passion.
If you're not passionate about what you do, you won't get up early to work the hours
thing,
late.
Right?
You wouldn't do the stuff you do. I wouldn't be here with you now, travelling 400 miles in what's supposed to be a UK heat wave, which is laughable to probably you, I'd imagine. And do the stuff you still want to do. And even now, I don't have to work, but I do this because I love it.
Yeah,
I enjoy it. I'm passionate about my businesses and my students and every single damn one of them all around the world. So I love what I do. So what do you love? What do you do? What can you turn your hobby into your career, your passion into your profession? And you need 6 figures profit, not turnover. A lot of these gurus, let's do 3-4 million a year, 5 million a year. No. Turnover is vanity. Profit is sanity. That's the important thing people need to learn. 6-figure profit, and then that's going to be your highest taxed income. So then invest that into an asset class of your choice. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, but my best one has always served me well, is real estate, property.
Yeah.
Every 10 to 15 years in the UK, maybe because we're a small island, since records began, they've doubled in value. Rents have gone up. It's strong. And I love property. I do invest in supercars, but I buy the right one to make sure they go up in value and stuff like that. But I keep it basic, keep it simple. Passion, profession, 6-figure, 7-figure profit. And it's not that hard. You need to find 10 people or 20 people at $500 a month to mentor them online or face-to-face on what you're passionate about, what your information is packaged up to be. And then you go and find deals. Whatever you buy, it's going to be okay. I mean, look at my grandparents. They bought their house for £2,000. They sold it for $250,000 when they died. Well, they didn't sell it. The family sold it on their behalf. Mm-hmm. They knew nothing about property investing, nothing about real estate. It just happened by nature. It just
happened, yeah.
Because you just hold it onto it and never sell them. I mean, that's my advice. Never sell properties. They're not going to build any more land.
What would be the reason for selling it? Just because you need the cash?
Well, you get taxed the high ever in the UK. You get taxed capital gains tax. So, as a landlord, it's quite hard to sell it. They're making it very extremely hard. They don't want landlords to leave because they're getting out and moving to other countries because there's so many tax-free countries now that you can live in. Reason to get out of it? I can't think of any reason. I will never sell any of mine. I'm still buying now. So for me, I want to build generational wealth. I've got 6 kids. I got the freedom and the finances to be able to have another one. My wife's 31. We might have another child, and I want to build generational wealth. And I think one thing these going through the traumatic times have all taught us is we're all vulnerable, and I think it's a duty as a parent to leave generational wealth for our children. So for me, it's going to be property, and it's all worked out already. I don't want my kids to ever worry about money. I think most divorces are caused by money, most bad relationships, sleep problems. Most people are antidepressants because of money, a job they hate, trying to meet the mortgage, trying to get the food bills in. If you've got money, it just, life becomes different. Don't have to look at receipts.
What about like business partnerships? Because a lot of this is like solo self-motivation and stuff. If someone wants to go in business with someone else, that is like a marriage that can, like 50% is going to fail.
Go wrong.
Right. So would you advise, like, if you're going your own passion, is to really sell yourself?
So the way I've done it, I believe franchising is the most misunderstood and the greatest concept in the world. So I've got literally thousands of business partners who are franchisees.
Okay.
And you got to be the right type of person. You can't run a dictatorship. So I run my company as a family business. I love my franchises. They are my family. In fact, most of them I've spent most of my adult life with, more so than I have my own brothers and family members. Over 25 years some of them have been with me.
Do you have kind of like gatherings and stuff as well?
Yeah. And I know their kids' names. I know when they're on holiday. I know when they're sick. We're in daily contact with them all the time. Not all of them, but pretty much. We know what's going on, or I know some what's going on. Even Australia too. So they are my family, and I see them as that. And it's a win-win. They only make money if I make money. So with the franchisor model, which I am, I provide them with the mentoring, the marketing, how to grow. I've got the social proof. I've been there and done it myself. I was making the £1.5 million profit per year, 18, 19 years old. So I've been there. I've made every mistake possible. So by being a partner with me, they don't have to make all those mistakes.
Yeah.
They don't mind giving me a percentage of what they earn, because unless I'm making them money, I'm not making any money. It's a win-win.
Yeah, because you start from scratch. Let's say what you did. You do. It is like maybe like 90% failure, isn't it? Until you kind of work it out. But like, if someone's coming in under your umbrella,
you're going to be all right, as long as you take action and you listen and you don't keep throwing objections at me, because I've been there and done it all. Oh yeah,
people go like, "Well, Matt, like
that ain't going to work. My area is different." No, not. It's all the same. It's just saying, it's your mindset that's different. I don't get it that much now because it's nearly 3 decades now, and people they really believe in me. And I don't just do it in the martial arts sector. We've done it in yoga, dance, Pilates, and property and bird tables. I've done letting agents, estate agents. We've just taken on a nursery chain which we're franchising out. You name it, we've done it. I mean, the same business model works. I just changed the subject.
Okay. So let's go back to Taekwondo. Like I was saying, like, I think like if you went to like some martial art, that you'd be going to karate. Like Taekwondo is a little bit of, you don't hear that name much.
No, not anymore.
Even now, when they go like martial arts, it's like judo, karate, jiu-jitsu, boxing.
It's
and
all
they
MMA
never say
now, UFC, MMA now. Isn't it?
Yeah.
So what happened is the way things have evolved is interesting, because when I was a kid, Taekwondo was big. Things have changed a lot since I started at martial arts at 7 years old. You had like 3 or 4 martial arts organizations, 2 types of Taekwondo, 5, 6 types of karate, maybe 1 or 2 types of judo. Then you had Aikido, and so on. And then what's gone on over the years is that obviously it came from America. I mean, that's where I learned martial arts business from. You guys, the Americans were 20, 25 years ahead. We didn't know what was going on out there. So I had this dream of being a martial arts instructor at 13, but I had no idea how the hell I was going to pull it off.
You wanted to be an instructor?
Yeah, I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be a vet or whatever my parents were trying to push me to do. I wanted to be a martial arts instructor, because But how do you make money out of charging £1.50 a class, £2 a class? That was the issue. And when I left school at 16 with no qualifications, long story short, so I was in a mathematics class when I was 13. I wrote down all these goals. I was bored. They were teaching us how many ways to put 50p into a phone box. One of these red phone boxes used to be everywhere in the UK, which you guys are fascinated by, I think. Oh, yeah, the museum pieces.
People want to buy
They
them.
really were a thing, man. That was how you rang your parents back and reverse charges. And they gave you 20p to make that call when you're late home and stuff like that. And it was just pathetic. The stuff I was learning in school back then, I was looking at the maths teacher now, I'm never going to learn this. Why do I want to learn how many different ways to put 50p in if I put 2 20p's in a 10 or 5 10p's? What a waste of time. So I turned it to the back, and I do believe in the law of attraction because you can't explain my mad life anywhere way else, can you?
I think it's way cooler doing what you're about to say. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to write down what I want to do.
I wrote down all
That sounds
this
wicked.
stuff, yeah. And then every day when I went to school, I was looking at that all day and writing notes on how I was getting on. Now, some of the stuff on there was ridiculous. Like,
What were some crazy ones, you think?
if you're a martial artist, you get it, or a bodybuilder, you get it. If not, you won't understand. So I wanted to do the splits on the chairs like Jean-Claude Van Damme. Kick the ceiling, I think. Kick the ceiling was one of them, and I pulled that off at school. Have the six-pack, big muscles, one of the greatest bodies in the world, be the most well-known martial arts instructor in the world, be a millionaire by the time I was 20. I wanted to own a Ferrari 355 because they were the Ferrari that came out. My academic brother, he was studying car design, so I grew up with incredible artists,
Like drawings
of
and stuff.
Testarossas, 355s everywhere. So I wanted to own one because they looked gorgeous, you know. So that was a goal for me too. But at the age of 20,
How much were they, do you think, back then?
140,000,
Okay.
and
You go in a bank, ask for a loan?
no, I didn't need to. I was just smashing it. It was just unreal. And then, so all these goals I wrote down, and not the property stuff though. I didn't know about that back then. And then I just focused on that every day. Left school at 16, started my martial arts class off, and like everyone else was doing, teaching a class, proper hardcore way, you know, like old school way. First 2-hour lessons, first hour would be punching in sitting stance. We call it horse riding stance. And then it would be front kick for the second half an hour. And then it'll be front kick, high front kick for the third half.
Cardio.
Yeah, just like repetition is a mother of skill. It's important, but now we like to disguise it.
Is this taekwondo or is karate? Like when you go there?
It's taekwondo as well, but taekwondo is known for its kick.
The kicks,
Yeah, and my style was the Olympic style, which is very much kick-based. WTF Taekwondo, World Taekwondo Federation. Yeah, I did all right. 100 members, paying £3 a class. The whole hire was £30 a week in a primary school in a place called Braunton in North Devon, the coast of England.
You can for £30 a week, and you can do classes as much as you want.
Yeah, so back then it was £15 for the night. I could have, from when the school shut, I've still got the same hall now, the hall until midnight if I wanted to. So I would put on 4 or 5 classes. I somehow understood how to be aggressive with marketing because marketing is the key. So there's posters everywhere, leaflets everywhere. I'd get up at 5 in the morning, put them out. I really wanted to prove my mum and dad wrong, my grandparents wrong. My granddad took me into his shed and he gave me this big lecture. Yeah, you need to be an electrician, get a trade, be a plumber. Yeah. What are you going to do? Throw your legs around. You're not going to make any money out of that. He became my biggest fan in the end. A massive fan of what I did. And careers day, that was another thing. It could have destroyed my life. I know I'm giving the school system a hard time here, but I don't care less because it is screwed. So I don't know if it happens in America, but in England, you go to a big assembly hall when you're 16. You just had your GCSE results. Mine were gone. I had no qualification. I'm not proud of that, by the way. It just wasn't for me. Not interested. Don't want to go uni. Queuing up for the careers advisor. I won't mention her name. To be fair,
I hated that. I didn't even want any advice from any careers. I wanted to, like, when they were talking, I was potentially going to join the army. They said, I could be a good junior leader or something.
They want me to do too. And anyway, my turn come. She's called Mrs. Godfrey. And she probably did me the biggest favour ever, to be honest. And she said, what do you want to do? I said, well, she looked at my GCSE. She said, you haven't done very well, Matthew, have you? I said, well, I want to be a martial arts instructor. I want to teach taekwondo. Oh, that's ridiculous. No one's ever done that before. Go over there. Maybe you could be a PE instructor, but you're going to have to go back and get your GCSE, do another year at school. Your qualifications, get them right. Or
trying to keep you back in the system. That you didn't really want to be
go
part.
to there. Go to college for this. Leisure and tourism, I think it was, and something. And she destroyed my confidence. I was like, wow, that's something else. I got told it can't be done. End of story. 2 years later, I turn up. No, 3 years later, turn up with the 355 outside that school. Turn up reception. Can I see Mrs. Godfrey, please? She came out. She already heard by that point.
The PE teaching worked out.
Yeah. It's already been all over the media at that point. Buddy Boy becomes multi-millionaire. And she gave me a hug. She started crying. She said, I'm really sorry. I could have destroyed your life. I said, don't worry about it. It's just the way you've been conditioned. And by that point, I started all the Tony Robbins stuff. So I understood about modeling and conditioning, how you get sucked into things. And yeah, if I listened to her, you could have been looking at a very broke man, very unhappy man, unhealthy man right now. But she did me the greatest gift in, I'm going to freaking prove you wrong too, lady. Yeah, so she gave me a hug, and now it's her big story. Now she's changed the way, she would have retired by now, but she changed the way she took on careers.
A lot of these people giving people the wrong advice could actually end up being, I don't know what you would say about them. Like you're saying, she gave you the wrong advice and you went against it because you thought it was horrible and became what you became. And so you can thank your bully, you can thank her and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Not that everyone wants to be dissing people.
Well, that's the key to success. You observe the masses, do the opposite.
With social media, right? If you really blow up, say like all these TikTok kids, Instagram kids and stuff like that. Well, let's YouTube, all the comments. If someone wants to comment, it's negative.
Yeah.
It's very rarely that someone will go, great job.
But that's the
really
key to success. You need to push for the haters to hate on you. I freaking love those haters. Just
what are they hating on though with you?
I construct stories to go to social media, to hit the mainstream media. And I know the comments need to be vile. Because if they're not, I know it's a sad world we live in, right? Yeah. It's crazy. But it used to be the same with tabloid press, the headlines and that.
It
used to be vile.
Yeah.
So the comments have to be vile because that pushes the story up and goes around the world. So if I post, give a recent example, I bought my wife, it's not, there's true saying that behind every man is a strong woman. Right? She puts up a lot in my life. I got a lot going on, right? And 6 kids, and she took on the 3, like for 3 as her own because I was married before, the first 3. She's wonderful, Monique is. And so Christmas, I mean, I'm a rich man. I'm not going to have all this money and not use it. So I bought her £320,000 Ferrari F8, one of the last ones to be ever made before they become a hybrid, for Christmas Day. And I knew I was going to get hate on it. And there's no point we drive that car around. People now, you end up on people's TikToks. So it would end up in the media. Jacko's bodyguard buys this. So I constructed a story to get out in a nice manner. Wife supports me and my kids. I have to react to things at 1, 2 in the morning sometimes. Dash to London, go to other countries, never moans. So she deserves this.
Yeah.
And put a picture of her, the Ferrari out. Went in all the newspapers in the UK. The biggest news outlet in the world is called the Mail Online. Hit the Mail Online, and I knew the hate was going to be unbelievable. But I also
is it like jealous hate?
It's like it's worse than that. It's like I hope his wife. Next time we read a story about him and his wife, I hope we see her wrapped dead round a tree in it.
Oh, no way, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I hope one of his kids gets knocked over in it. Hope a tree falls on it.
That's like jealousy on steroids, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. But I know how the game works, so I don't care. And it don't bother me because it's a reflection on them, not me. They don't know me. They're judging me. Yeah. What they should be doing, like the Americans do, is, Matt, can I have dinner with you? Because, geez, I want to be where you are. 44, 45.
Yeah. Tell me.
Can we get a chance to go down? I want a Ferrari like that. But not in England, you don't get that. It's like freaking. Anyway, I take it a step further. We had this storm over here. And I know how this game works. Also, I learned from Michael Jackson, which we'll get onto later, and other big names. You need to have as many eyeballs on you to create wealth. Right. Money goes where attention flows. So you need eyeballs on you. And that comes in the form of haters. And that don't bother me. I was at a conference recently. I was on stage and I'm an entrepreneur, 200 people there. Someone said, how do you deal with the haters and trolls? I freaking love them. They paid for the Ferrari, and they also paid for my Lamborghini Aventador too. So I wanted to get the Ferrari F8 paid off, 320. I wanted to earn that money back. It was a storm in England, and anything where there's a bit of drama in England, that was always like big. Like today, it's like
it's all about weather here, isn't it?
Don't go out. It's like 27 degrees, and we go on holiday, we sunbathe in 40 degrees. So the media are wrapping up this thing. And to be honest, in Devon, there are some trees down. It was dangerous. My wife went to the gym in her car, came back, and I thought, there were some electricians at my house, and they were changing light bulbs. And they had their branded jumpers at the back, Berry Electrical. And I said, guys, what can you do to dysfunction my electric gates so they don't work? Make them floppy. Yeah, we can do that for you. So do you want some publicity? Absolutely, Matt. What you got in mind? No issue. Come with me. Got the nanny to stand by the door with the iPhone. I said to my wife, Minnie, jump in the Ferrari F8, reverse up. We put the gates up against the car. I put my hand on my head like this. She did the same inside the car. And Nanny took a picture, sent it to me, put on my Instagram. Be careful out there. Storm Isha is bad. That's what they called it. My wife's new Ferrari, I bought it for Christmas Day. The gates just closed in. Could be £50,000 worth of damage. But I'm just glad she's okay. Be careful, everyone out there. This storm is real. Hit the button, boom, on Instagram. 10 minutes
Comments
later.
flowing in.
Well, no, 10 minutes later, Sun newspaper, which is a big news tabloid over, picks it up. The next day, I was on a stage in London, not far from here, an entrepreneur stage called Global Women. Someone whispers in my ear, your story about your wife being trapped in the electric gates in her Ferrari F8 is the third biggest story in the world. And I look at the comments, they are vile, but they are pushing that story up. So you had Israel, Gaza, Hamas war down here, and you had Matt Fiddes' wife get stuck in a new Ferrari he bought her for Christmas Day, and that was doing well because all the haters were pushing it up. And to get to the point with this, that story easily earned me £500,000 that week because people were Googling my name. Then they were buying my mentorships. They were joining my membership site. They were going to my because you're seen as the pinnacle of the martial arts industry, and the go-to person is social proof at another level. The traffic from Google and searches and Facebook pages and stuff, the bookings went up through the roof. I made well over £500,000 that week. That one story paid for that Ferrari. So then the newspapers come back to me and say, how do you deal with these trolls and haters? I said, I love it. They paid for my Lamborghini Aventador last year when I did a story about that. They just paid for the Ferrari F8. I said, can we do a story on that? I said, sure. So he goes, Matt Fiddes likes to thank the trolls for paying for his Ferrari and Lamborghini. They did a picture of me draped over my Lamborghini Aventador. And that story went viral. The idiots trolled and commented on a story about themselves.
Yeah.
They trolled on a story about them trolling. And they made that go viral, maybe a fortune too.
All like the trolls, do they actually put their names to it, or is it all like numbers and dashes?
No, it's like at 126 point lady girl point one. Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about stuff like that, am I? I mean, come on. And when I'm out meeting people, they come out and shake my hand in the street. They say hi. They want a selfie. I don't get any problems ever at all. Even at like martial arts conventions where you think. When I started off, I broke the mold. I was the first guy to take this concept from the States, martial arts millionaires, make it an educational, put a life skills curriculum behind it, change children's life, an anti-bully program, 3-year private school, make it a school, not a club. Kids sit down at 15 minutes at the end of every lesson, have homework. I revolutionised the martial art, put music on the lessons. I got kicked out of the martial arts organisation I belonged to because I did that. Because I'm supposed to teach in Korean. I'm supposed to count in Korean. They booted me out.
So you kind of like, you took the American approach.
Absolutely.
And that flow, and that wasn't like kind of accepted in the UK.
Never done it before. No one ever monetized
so you'd be
martial
like
arts.
An outcast, like, he's doing his own thing.
You
he's not
shouldn't
part
be
of our
making money
club.
out of the arts. You shouldn't be making money out. How dare you? Who do you think you are playing martial
The arts, though, like, if you just go like arts and then like art pieces, people want to make money doing that. And like, or arts, being a musician.
Well, the funny thing is, when I started making millions, they all do it. They all tried to be Matt Fiddes. They all did the music and the lesson, left their organisations. Now, to get back to why you don't hear the word taekwondo anymore, it's all segmented because everyone's commercialised it. They got the best of Aikido, best of Kung Fu, best of taekwondo, best of Jiu-Jitsu to make it more commercial. And that's not a bad thing, as long as it's done right. And obviously, we've done a good job of that. We wouldn't be around 3 decades later having the biggest martial arts chain in the world. But it was interesting. I got hated on like you wouldn't believe. I mean, they say the lead dog takes the fawn. That's an American saying. The first person to do something will take the fawns. And I took the fawns. But I wouldn't say I didn't care. Because back then there was no social media. But I had graffiti on the walls like Kill Matt Fiddes. the gossips, the forums. The martial arts magazines was interesting. So I used to drive my BMX bike to buy this magazine. It was the world's biggest martial arts magazine called Martial Arts Illustrated. Since I was 7 with my pocket money, it was like 20p back then. And I used to read that cover to cover, keep them all. And my dream was to be in it, and I ended up, the editor of it, who owned it for 30 years, said, other than Bruce Lee, I had the most front covers than anyone else in the world. And it just transformed. Everyone wanted to do what I did. So the organisation that kicked me out, after a few years of watching me, they started to creep in and take my classes and copy what I do. And now it's the thing. Now it's like...
So you took all, like, what is trolling now, like, back then people saying kill Matt Fiddes, spraying it with graffiti and stuff. You've dealt with this from a pretty young age, from like late teens upwards, right? Doing this American course, actually before you started this American approach, when you were doing the first lessons and charging people for it, how did you find out about this American thing and get it to the next level? Because, like, say, how much do you think you were making a week just doing it yourself at first? I had
100 members, £3 a class.
Okay, so 300, right?
Overheads are 30 a week. So.
All right. Take American approach, say like the 10x thing or whatever. Like, Did you think like, well, I want to make 600 now, I want to make 1200? Were you like doubling it in your head, or is it just like, oh, if you made 350, you were happy? But how did you? So before you met the American thing, how did you want to grow it before you found?
I just wanted to make a living out of what I do and prove the bullies, my mum, dad, my grandparents, and family wrong. When
you first started. And you started making money. Were your parents going, oh, he's bringing some money in, well done, Matt?
Not initially.
Okay.
After I took the trip to the States and I implemented systems.
What made you go to the States?
Okay, so I had a friend who, he's a martial artist, called Lee Childs, good close friend of mine. I used to train with him and work with weights, I work out with him. Different styles of martial arts. He did ITF Taekwondo. I did WTF Taekwondo. Lee was on holiday in America, and we had pages back then. I mean, that's the way we communicate. Yeah. He paged me. He said, Matt, can you call me ASAP? Urgent. I thought, oh, it's interesting. I hope he's all right. So I walked from my £30 a week bed sit to the red phone box, called him out. I said, Lee, what's up? He goes, I just come back from America. You wouldn't believe what's going on out there. Every street corner, you've got these martial arts schools with thousands of members, multi-millionaires, Ferraris everywhere.
Is this like, where in America is this?
This was... San Francisco and Clearwater, Florida at the time. Okay. Yeah. He's just come back from Clearwater,
That's two
Florida.
Crazy towns of like Clearwater, and that's like east and west.
Yeah.
Kind of craziness.
It was everywhere though. And also New York was, Tiger Schumann karate was everywhere.
Okay.
And
was that from these Bruce Lee films and stuff, do you think? Like, why
the explosion to mainstream media was due to Bruce Lee.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, if it weren't for him, none of us would be sitting there. I ain't a big fan of Bruce Lee. I'll get onto that later on. But
you aren't, did you say?
No, I was a martial artist, and people saying I want to be like Bruce Lee. Really, you want to be dead at 32? Clearly, he seems to be a drug overdose, because I can't see he's died from an aspirin. It's all a bit of a cover up. But yeah, I'm a bit weary on. I get a lot. People are like, I want to be like Bruce Lee. I want to be as good as Bruce Lee. And I knew Bruce Lee's friends, like Joe Lewis, the karate champion. He died a few years ago, but he was a close mate of mine. He used to tell me what Bruce was really like, and nothing like the image you see. He's dynamite in the movies. I mean, the tan's that way from him, but yeah, his death is very mysterious, to say the least. Okay. Especially when you know about bodybuilding and body fat and how he looked and Enter the Dragon. Well, he's like 2% body fat.
Minimal body fat,
yeah,
right?
And he died shortly after. It's just, to me, I've been in this industry too long. I'm not stupid. I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. And there's also a book that was released after Bruce Lee's wife, Linda Lee, got married again and got divorced. And the estate tried to stop it, Bruce Lee estate, and they couldn't stop it. And it had contracts in there, like the movie, his biopic, things they couldn't mention about his affairs, his drug use, and so on. And Joe Lewis used to say that he used to take steroids with Bruce. I mean, back then they were all guinea pigs. Arnold Schwarzenegger, they were all guinea pigs for how it went on back there. But no, my friend come back from the States, and then anyway, he said there's these conventions, and they're 3 days long.
There's going crazy, going, Matt.
Yeah, I would listen. I was like, I don't want to compromise. We're funny with martial arts. I don't want to compromise standards for money, Lee. I want to be a millionaire, but I'm going to try it this way and just keep doing the kicks like I was doing the old-fashioned way, teaching in Korean, £3 a class. So, Matt, trust me, they got the standards, they got the money, got to come to one of these events. 3 days, 1,000 martial arts millionaires in the room. I thought, okay. Anyway, I was working to supplement my income. I was working for £2.75 an hour as a lifeguard at the local leisure centre. I saved up enough money to get a ticket out to the States. And I attended this event. Bear in mind, I'm 17, right? And the guy who runs it, he's not a martial artist. He's a business consultant, very successful man called Nicholas Kokinas. He's in his 80s back then. He loved the fact that this 17-year-old had used his last money to fly out. And I introduced myself to him. And unlike England, Americans kind of appreciate that. That's very rare. You go to the owner of the convention, who's a multi-millionaire, got shares in Marriott hotels, big time, and introduced myself. Like, I'm Matt, 17, from England.
Mate.
I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm here to learn. And he's like...
Jumped on a plane.
Yeah. And he was like, wow. He said, wow, I'm so impressed by your ambition. Do the 3 days, write everything down, and... If we're going to make you rich, we might as well make you famous too. And I want to introduce you to all the top martial arts businesses in America, and I want you to follow them. And get up at 4 in the morning, go to their staff meetings, watch their classes, watch their marketing, write it all down, take it back to England. Some of it may work, some of it may not. You never know. And that's exactly what I did. And I came back on that flight with all these notepads.
Did he ask you to join? Like, did you have to be part?
No,
he didn't even say you have to join our
He
thing
thought,
or anything.
he obviously knew I was going to be like the perfect case study for his company, didn't he? I did join, but he didn't ask me.
Okay.
I joined his consultancy, and long story short, I was one of the first people to put people on a monthly reoccurring. I don't know what you call it over there. Is it EFT you call it over there? We call it direct debit over here. It stands an order back there. So I stabilised my income. I took those 100 members out paying £3. When the sun's out, they don't come out. They don't come. You don't get paid anymore. And it's just trying to run this like a school.
Oh, so it's just like
So I went from
subscription.
300 a week to 5,000 to 7,000 a month. Yeah, I was one of the first. Like if you join a gym.
Okay.
No one ever done that before. That was controversial. Believe me, the martial arts
That must have been very new back then because
it was not unheard of. Only
because
gyms.
now it's all subscriptions, isn't it? Everyone's got all these subscriptions. Whether
Yeah.
it's Netflix, gym, blah blah blah, and you don't really when you work it out. The price seems right. It gets them in.
Yeah.
But unless you're hardcore, you have to go, like even on a real cheap gym membership, you have to go there like probably 5 days a week to make it pay off. And then some people don't even go, and they're still paying subscription.
Well, this is like 96, 97. So gym memberships, you could either pay cash, but it's a bit more, or you could join on a monthly standing order.
Yeah.
No one had done it in martial arts. So that was a game changer. Then I put the education program in. Then I taught in English, put music on the lessons, made it a private school, not a club. I don't want people to refer to Matt Fiddes Martial Arts as a club. We are a private school. We teach everything the school system don't teach. So every month we have different themes like good manners, water safety, fire safety, goal setting, anti-obesity, good nutrition, stranger danger. We just ticked all those boxes, and it just blew up. And then I did a second site, and I managed to convince a landlord to let me have a building, give me 6 months free rent, and then 6 months later, 700 members, 80 grand a month. I was making £1 million a year. My overhead's £180 a month.
What do you think? Like, when people came in, were they joining straight away from just seeing the literature? Or did they come to the class and see everyone's reaction and then join straight away? Or was every case different?
That's a good question. So I asked the parents about this because a lot of them now, I got their kids who are coming up through.
Oh, wow.
People who train with me.
Yeah.
I've got their kids coming up. I said, what made you join? He said, well, Matt, you represented everything I wanted my child to become. You're well-mannered. You called me sir or ma'am or Mrs. Jones or whatever, You're in shape. You could do what you were teaching. And you were so young. It was unheard of. It was the buzz of the town. And it was so new, too. No one else was teaching this stuff. Combining an education life skills program where the kids sat down in with a physical activity. So martial arts was the hook, just like my dance schools are the hook. And then we deliver the education on top and teach them discipline, confidence, respect, and so forth. They have to keep their bedroom tidy and be respectful at school and do their best at school and respect for their parents. If they didn't sign this form every month, they couldn't go for the next colour grade. So I was pioneering that. And they said that was it, really. I represented what they wanted to become as an adult student or a parent of a child. And it just exploded. I did 5 locations. The next town was 40 miles away and came to the media's attention on how well I was doing. Buddy boy become millionaire. That
like
blew up.
local papers first kind of thing.
No, national first. I
Really?
thought my dream to
That's
be in a
dope.
local paper.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
My 2 goals were get some recognition, because when you're been bullied
Yeah.
and been told you can't do stuff all your life, you want some recognition for it. It's only natural significance, isn't it? And I want the local paper to pick up on how well I was doing. I was driving this beautiful car around, and I was like 18, man. It was making all this money. I was the talk of the town. And then, a reporter came in, did a story on me, just came off the streets. His kids trained with me. They got stupid.
Is that like, would I be right saying like,
Doorstep? That's what
like,
they call it.
well, I was going to say like on the reporter, if it's national, does it have to be someone from London, or are they working all over?
Right, so they're still around, but back then we had agencies that would represent different. They would be plotted around the country. So it's called Southwest News Agency for what he worked for. He came up to me and said, Matt, I work for Southwest News. I supply stories to newspapers, local, national, radio,
Oh, okay.
international
Yeah,
trade. I'd like to do an interview with you. I know you're bullied at school, got no qualifications. See your Ferrari outside. You're making a lot of money. I've done the calculations on a calculator. And I said, yeah, I'm doing. It's unbelievable. I can't believe it. And I was very honest with him. And he took a picture of me in a martial arts uniform doing a punch, picture of me in a car. And then he asked for a picture of me when I was 7, when I was that vulnerable, naive-looking kid. I gave him a picture of that. Went away, nothing happened. I thought it'd be in the local paper. It was the front page of every national, international paper in the world.
Wow.
And on the back of that, every TV station wanted me.
Can you remember what year this is?
Yeah, 97.
Okay.
Yeah, the clippings are out. I'll send you them.
Okay.
And then I did all the TV shows. And then a guy was watching it.
TV shows as well?
Yeah, because that's how they pick up the stories. They go through...
So old TVs, it's front page news. We've got to get them on
or
TV
anything
shows.
relevant in there. They might think it's human interest, that for the morning or evening TV shows, they want you on to interview you. So back to back, the next following days, I was doing all these big...
Getting on TV then is massive, because like,
It was
especially
huge,
in England.
yeah,
'cause what,
30 million
how many
people.
channels were there at that?
4.
4
We had a
channels.
5, but it was very grainy and only available in some areas. Yeah, 30 million.
So if you get on TV,
instantly recognisable.
you are like social media, you're right at the top.
It was massive.
Yeah.
There was 4 morning shows and 1 evening show I did, and it was a game changer. After that, everywhere I went, I was getting recognised. It was unbelievable. And anyway, a very famous man was watching it, Uri Geller. Uri Geller was watching that, and in the 70s and 80s, he was big time, especially in America. Uri wanted to meet me, and he wanted to take this bullying thing further, because bullying was a massive problem in schools. And he wanted to do the power of the mind, positive thinking. You can do anything. There's no such word as can't. And then he wanted me to do some self-defense movements, make a VHS tape, and give it all out free to all the schools.
There's a lot of things you're saying that, like, well, I'm sure most kids know, but like when you're going like Uri Geller, VHS tape, like this is all stuff that doesn't, like VHS tape,
cassettes.
Yeah, I don't
like
even know if
yesterday.
I've still got one. I think I've got some in the garage somewhere.
Yeah.
Sorry
Funny
for
how things
that.
have moved on, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So Uri Geller is still very well known in the UK
Yeah,
and
of
Europe.
course.
America, he was massive. He had his own show over there, Phenomenon, and did a Tonight Show. But he was probably more famous around the world for bending the spoons with the power of his mind. He'd rub it and it would bend. But it's like Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins had a firewalk. Uri Geller had the spoon bending, and both very similar.
That
both
was like
big authors.
Oh, that was like the big thing.
Yeah, it's like 78 now. He's a genius. He's got the Uri Geller Museum in Israel.
Is he since you know it, like he's a friend of yours, right?
My closest friend.
Power of the mind, like, is he very kind of positive?
He believes
even
you
in
can
personal life and stuff.
He personally believes that, you're the most positive man you can meet.
Does he think like, so the power of the mind, is it like, because it's very easy to go to the negative side, right?
Yeah.
And it's actually harder to stay positive. So like, how do you tell someone to stay positive, be positive?
You just got to surround yourself with them. Whoever you're going to surround yourself with, you're going to become. So he was a massive part to my success. Because when you hang around with the most positive, literally the most positive man around, him and Tony Robbins probably.
And he was going on TV at the same time,
He was
right?
massive.
Yeah.
He was huge. You couldn't even walk down the street. Uri couldn't.
Yeah.
And you're going to pick up on you, isn't it? It's going to have an effect. And he lived in a £20 million mansion, which I used to go to all the time, and house next to George Clooney's and Solon-on-Thames, and flying all around the world. It's going to pick up on you. I want to be where Uri Geller is now.
I want a £20 million home.
I do.
I think.
That's where I was going at. I want to be as rich as Uri Geller and as famous as Uri Geller. I was hungry for it at 18. I just wanted to be there. And so, anyway, we became close friends. He became godparents, one of my kids. And And then his best mate's Michael Jackson. And that was a phone call came 3 a.m, come to my house now. I can't tell you why, but if you don't come, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life.
This is what he told you on the phone.
Yep. And I said, what am I going to tell my missus? You got to tell me what I'm coming for, so I'm sorry, I can't tell you. I love you. You got a Ferrari. Stop moaning. See you in 3 hours. Put the phone down on me.
So you could have quite easily said, nah.
No, exactly. And it didn't cross my mind, though, because that guy's never put me wrong, ever. Or picks me up when I was down. If I'd moan about negative press, because you get that sometimes, or people writing graffiti or gossiping about me.
Sometimes England's like, it's all negative press, right?
Yeah, he would say, Matt, I love you. That's called being successful. They're your free publicists. When you haven't got them, you got to worry. Nothing to worry about. You're on the right track. Remember when you got a real problem? Put the phone down on me. I was like, whoa. Because he's dealing with the New York Times, publishing, saying he's a fraud and all this type of stuff, and loving it because he's on the
like the bending and the spoons is a fraud.
Yeah, he's getting it all the time. He don't care less. He's haters and trolls. He said, you're free publicists. Remember when I remember the conversation, you put the phone on me. I was like, well, that was blunt, but the biggest lesson I ever learned. And I didn't question. I got in the car, went straight to his house, and gates opened up.
How long was the drive to this from you to
3.5 hours?
3.5 hours.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like you were in Surrey going to London or anything.
No, I was in Barnstable in Devon, going to Sondon-on-Thames outside of Reading. And
so you get there like 6 in the morning, 5 in the morning.
6:30 in the morning. Gates opened up for Yuri's place and mansion, and drove down. Nothing really to give anything off. And then I walk into the living room. And this guy comes up to me and says, "Hi, I'm Master Matt Fiddes. My name's Michael Jackson. Pleased to meet you." I know who you are, but what the hell are you doing here? What's going? He never mentioned it to me before. I've seen presidents.
Oh, he never mentioned that he knew Michael Jackson.
No, we used to go on long walks, me and Yuri. Whenever we'd have meetings or catch up, he didn't just want to sit down. He's really into his health. He looks amazing if you look him up now. He's like, for his age.
He was always very slim, right?
Yeah. So we'd go for like 2 or 3 hour walks, and phone calls would come in, and then he wouldn't put the phone to his head, so he'd have it on loudspeaker. And I used to hear very famous people ring up. Whenever I used to go to him, he'd do his walking every day. Yeah, still does it now. And
walking and talking, I call it. It's a good way of exercise.
Want to sit down. He doesn't see the point in that, and that's exactly what I do. So yeah, big names would ring up, presidents, but at the time he was the biggest. Michael was the biggest,
Jackson, yeah.
The biggest ever. I think he'll ever be, even now. Not a day goes past I don't get asked about him. And what happened is that him and Michael got into conversation, and I was already a millionaire. Didn't need money. Didn't need anything from anyone. Michael was having problems with security. He lost his long-term security people. And also, he didn't have many mates. Michael didn't, he could trust people. I think Yuri saw me as someone that he could put in Michael's life that he could trust.
It's like in a network type thing.
Yeah, or in a circle that we had, like Mohammed Al-Fadi, Harrods, the Ritz Hotel, a billionaire. His son died with Princess Diana Dodi. Yeah, he became a close friend of mine, and yeah, so he introduces us, and Michael wanted to meet Shannon Lee and Linda Lee, and I had a contact who could make that happen. If Shannon would agree, because he wanted to find out what made Bruce Lee relevant all these years after he died. What made him tick? What was different? How did Bruce think?
This is what Michael Jackson wanted to know.
This is what he did with everyone. He analysed everyone. Trying to watch a movie with Michael would be a nightmare. Like, they're shooting that from the wrong angle. Or they're getting that wrong. And so he would study all the greats like James Brown and Fred Astaire, Charlie Chaplin, and incorporate that into his dance. And he's already a martial artist too. He's a black belt. So he wanted to get to second.
I was going to ask you that if he did that.
Yeah, Joseph Jackson made sure all of the Jackson 5, all the brothers, studied martial arts to be able to look after themselves. And when you're Michael Jackson, it's very difficult to turn up at a class. It can happen. So multiple reasons why he wanted to meet me. And we got on really well. We got like a house on fire. And obviously being introduced by his best mate, he was best man at Yuri's wedding, was put me at a level of trust. Mm-hmm. I never charged him for looking out. We were friends for a year or so first, and then we took over security, and my brother-in-law and my family, all of my instructors, we all mucked in and helped out wherever he was in the world. He spent most of his time here in the UK, though, in the Cotswolds. And, I did it all for free. And I did it for free, but the payback was your network is your net worth. I had the contact but to die for. I still got it now.
What about, did you ever, even think of, saying, hey, I'm spending a lot of money on travel. Can you just reimburse me on that? Or anything?
Well, I remember one time, it's quite well known now, he was going through some financial difficulties and he couldn't afford to pay for his hotel suite, so I picked up the bill. I was
Michael Jackson was.
Yeah. So there was a time in his life where, not asset wise, but cash flow wise, I was making more than what he was.
So he's waiting for royalties,
his
and a
card
lot of
was
it's
declining.
What's that?
His credit card was all declining. So I just was embarrassed by it. So I stepped in and paid the bill.
I wonder if that's like because you get paid quarterly through major record labels, and a lot's recoupable. All his travel, probably the old recording contracts.
He just overspent, ripped off by everyone, and he had no cash flow.
Was that down to like, on TV you would see him going into stores and buying things and all that? Do you think he was like kind of?
He didn't. I asked him once because his figures were put on, were analysed during the 2005 trial, and he literally was spending hundreds of millions and making 80 million. But then he wasn't touring. He didn't bring an album out until every 5 years, and
you made the money on the touring, don't you?
Yeah, he had the Beatles catalogue, which I think brought 70, 80 million. But that's not hard for Michael Jackson to spend. It's expensive to be Michael Jackson. His homes would be $1 million a month. It's the staff that he's got, the security that's needed, and not in terms of me, because I didn't charge him, but for all his properties and looking after his children, his 3 kids, and the nannies, and all the stuff that's there. But I don't know where the money was just. He needed to get out of work again. I mean, that was the thing. So
you met Michael Jackson. You were saying he wanted to know about Bruce Lee and stuff. That's where the conversation was. So you're just having a conversation.
He wanted to meet Shannon Lee.
Okay.
Lee. Could I set it up?
Okay, and then going through multiple conversations and then getting to the security aspect. How did the security aspect, was security letting him down and stuff like that, or? No,
so when I go out, I was the big guy, 6'4". Michael was frail, skinny. He's not.
How
short.
tall was he?
He's like 5'11". He's not short, but he used to hunch over.
Yeah,
very fit. Now he's nothing to the guy, and I just used to be. He's my vulnerable mate, so I just put my arm around him and head on with the paparazzi and go for it. And the media just went with it in the end. Matt Fiddes.
Who's this guy?
Yeah, martial arts millionaire, business guru, Jacko's bodyguard. And everywhere I went, in the end, I just wanted to look after my mate. Because security, just for him alone, would be 150 to 200,000 a month. And he couldn't.
Is that like a crew back then, or is that a person?
2 for that.
2
people.
Like, what would security be then? Like Americans, and would there be like security agencies that he would go through? And then, so did he say like, "Why don't you do more of this for me," or something like that, or did you just, or is it just like he was a mate and you're
the martial arts guy, Matt?
Up.
Any chance you can help me out? I got to go to this event. I don't want to go alone.
In England,
worried about
or worldwide?
Everywhere, New York, Los Angeles, wherever, Paris. Any chance you come and hang out with me, keep me company? You can have a room off my suite. Bring your family, bring your kids, bring your wife. Got to go to this event. I don't want to go alone, and I don't trust the security. I don't want to hire people. I can't answer my phone around them. Can't have a conversation in the back of the car. All these things.
So a lot of paranoia stuff. Like you felt a lot more. So you became part of that.
I was his mate first.
You. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Little things like you wouldn't even think of. Like if you're driving down the motorway or highway, and you want to go use the bathroom, we don't think about it. It's easy for us, and you just go in.
Right.
Yeah, Michael Jackson.
Yeah, what do you do?
It's one hell of a.
Do you have to go to a hotel or something?
No, what we used to do is, I remember one famous time he came
to the woods.
Visit me. We went to a service station off the M4, Gordano.
So they still have little chefs and stuff.
Yeah,
I always remember
they're gone now. There's loads
franchise.
of things inside there, like KFCs and Burger Kings and stuff. So I turned up at the service station, and Michael will be in the back of the car, and I'll go in. And I say, can I speak to the managers of the service station? They'll come out. I said, I've got something extremely famous in the back of the car. Most of the time, you'd have to lie and say it's royalty, or they wouldn't care less. Because they just think it's some celebrity off the TV and you'd be in a big head or something.
Imagine a lot of people would just think you're talking rubbish anyway, right?
Well, you can't say who it is. If you say who it is, they say, yeah. And I'm Elvis Presley, and they'll tell you that, and then they'll walk away. So they'll push you for it is. I said, I really can't tell you who it is, but I promise you, this guy needs a wee. He's used the toilet. He's super famous. It could be royalty, but I can't tell. I'm under contract. Okay. And what they used to do is they used to put the little yellow signs up, shut, bathroom off.
Oh, yeah.
And then the manager would stand there because they want to get a glimpse of it. And then I would go and get him and bring him out. They're like, whoa, it's Michael Jackson. Whoa, it can't be. And he goes, yes, I have to be in the world someplace. So I got to use the toilet too. I'm just, and then we'll go in and come out, and he'd have a picture of the manager, and then we get in a car and off we go again. It was mayhem. So it was really difficult, some of those. And then we'd have to check the bathrooms in every cubicle and before he goes in. And
what was you got the singing voice, the interview voice,
the real voice,
and the real voice, right? I'm just making up the real voice as a third. Was there a real voice?
Yeah. If you go watch back,
is it like kind of like Barry White or something? Like
he's got Michael Jackson had a very deep voice.
That's what I've heard. He had a deep voice, but on his interviews, was it like Paris Hilton used to do that voice? But she doesn't speak like that. She's actually got quite a deep voice.
Yeah.
And she only told people that when she hit 40. Or I think she's 40. Was it similar? Like, did he kind of create like an image? Yeah, an image.
He wanted to be mysterious. He wanted to look weird. He wanted to be weird, mysterious.
He liked that.
He wanted his life to be the greatest show on earth. He keeps saying to us.
Because he was all into movies and stuff. And
that's how you make media, isn't it? It'd be different. So sometimes...
So he's creating his own media?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
all the
time. Just like I did. He taught me all that stuff. You sit down. First thing we did when we got to a new city, sit down, how can we make front pages?
Really?
Yeah.
Like a business meeting?
Yeah. Very, very clever dude. You don't get to be the most famous. That's what I say to people all the time. You think this guy's a clown. You think he's a child molester. You think he's a complete fool and an idiot who just hangs around.
Well, they called him Wacko Jacko, didn't they?
Because it fits on the tabloids. Yeah. That was why. You honestly think you can become the most famous man in the world? Earn $8 billion is what they estimate he's earned in his lifetime. Since his death, he's learned. We can't spend it now, can he? But it's just gone unbelievable. Be relevant all those years and not be the smartest dude you'll know. I mean, that guy used to read 3 to 5 non-fiction books, and he'd study the greatest. He knew all of Tony Robbins' personal power kit back
then.
But yeah, he was mentioned in it actually. Tony, he could get to anyone. He would study the greats and make it greater. Do you really think he's a clown? Then do you think I would hang around owning one of the biggest children's organisations in the world with a freaking child molester? The guy was a genius. He was another level of intelligence. He knew how to manipulate you with sticky tape on his hands, trousers that were too short, one white glove, fedora, face mask. She got the idea.
You're saying this, it's like he's...
Yeah. I mean, I look at some people when they ask me, was he a kiddie fiddler? Are you serious? Are you honestly serious? Knowing what we know now, what's gone on with all these stars falsely accused. The bigger, more powerful. He owned half the Sony music. His music catalogue alone was worth over $1 billion. Are you really serious? You think he's stupid and into little boys when there's footage out there where people are so naive and stupid to even Google it? He had a code for us, which is he was heavily into women. He had a problem with women, not with little freaking boys. He would say, I like that fish. You go and have a look. I've got footage, I can send it to you. It says, I've done previous podcasts and they've incorporated it in it. They said, I want that fish there. I like that. That fish is nice. Can you send it to my room? He had the slightest be interested in freaking little boys. That was just trying to bring him down because he's too big. He was too powerful. And he was the first Me Too victim. They've just done it with Kevin Spacey, haven't they? And Andrew Tate got too big and uncontrollable and too influential. Politicians are like that. Donald Trump's the same. He got too damn powerful. You know, he's going to be the next president again. I'm friends who know him very, very well. And if you get powerful now, they bring you down. And he was the first. But if you think about
they made the documentaries and films about it as well.
Yeah.
And then
boys saying I got molested.
This narrative.
Yeah, and boys saying, I got molested in the train station at Neverland when they were 8 years old. It turns out Neverland wasn't built until the train station never wasn't built until they were in their 20s. How can you get molested in a building that wasn't even there? I mean, this is a guy that was so into women, you got no idea. I mean, look at the way he dances, and he was a flirt. Tito Jackson went on the podcast and he said, it irritates me. And he said, because if you want to test if my brother is gay or straight or into boys, go and send your wife and girlfriend for a few days at Neverland. She won't come back because he's the biggest flirt charmer ever. It's all an act. The sticky tape on the nose was allergy tape to make media. He wanted people to make them believe that his nose was going to fall off. You know, all the stuff he came up with was all the latest stuff. He's the most creative genius. You don't get to be the most famous man and stay relevant. Even now, his most famous person, if you're an idiot, nonce, child molester, stupid clown like people think he is. Yes, he took it too far maybe, and he had a drug problem which is well known with prescription medication.
In the States, that's That's a big downfall.
And the plastic surgery, everyone gave him a hard time about. And he used to say, if you took everyone out of Los Angeles plastic surgery, there might be no one left. And then the skin condition, they now know it's true. He's white because he had vitiligo. That was confirmed by the coroner after he died in the autopsy. Finally, he's been banging on about that for years.
Yeah.
And he used to say to me, Matt, why did he keep going on about me, about being white? So I'm proud of my black heritage. I'm a black American. I don't understand it. So people laying on the beaches all day long, white guys or girls, trying to get my colour, trying to get brown.
Yeah.
The suntan lotion business, a multi-billion-dollar business. Why are they picking on me for? Why won't they believe me? It took this death for them to coroner to say, yeah, Michael Jackson had serious vitiligo.
Was there no way to, because obviously like he's going more on the white. Is that because he had more white? Could he not covered up, like gone dark instead?
They tried. His makeup artist said to me they tried. Problem Michael had is breaking out on his face big time.
And so the white was easier to cover.
If he just stood there with a microphone on stage and sang like most artists do, it'd be different. But when you watch a Michael Jackson performance, it's 4 hours of hardcore dancing. He's sweating.
Yeah.
It just would sweat off. It wouldn't work. So in the end, they give up on it. Yeah, his legs were all patchy, and I used to call himself the spotted cow. But he had, I don't know exactly what he did, if I'm honest with you. I think they found it in his drawers. He used some cream or what. I don't know how it worked. Yeah. He had a dermatologist who did all that. I didn't talk about that with him. He just used to be very frustrated why the world wouldn't believe anything about him, about his life and this fascination about him with kids. And yeah, I mean, the guy didn't know how to act normal because he wasn't normal. The guy was eccentric, but most geniuses are. And
I think like people, with some like, this is a UK thing, right? Like, if someone stares at you at the pub, normal reaction is like, well, that's you looking at. Like that.
Yeah.
If everyone is looking at you, it's like if you're a beautiful woman, everyone looking at you, how do you deal with it?
Yeah.
So he had to deal with that. And like, I don't know how you deal with that.
At him.
Yeah.
And those black glasses, the fedora and the mask gave him just a little bit of protection between him and everyone staring at him all the time.
How did you...
Judging him.
So being his mate and stuff and then doing security, did you have to be security for Michael Jackson, who like most well-known person back then? That had to be, you must have made some mistakes along the way because you hadn't done it before. When you're mentioning making mistakes, you didn't have a security firm.
I know, no formal training other than Michael, but because Michael's been a superstar since he's 5 years old.
Calling ahead, all this sort of stuff, like how quickly did you have to learn all that?
Or
did he tell you
Michael
what you had to...
Yeah, he told me exactly.
Yeah.
This is how you
he already
do it.
knew from the other guys.
Yeah. Well, he's lived with it. He doesn't know any difference. This is how you do this. And I'd ask him, well, how are we going to get through the airport?
And he knows. So he knows.
As the doors open, we run.
Really?
And then you lock me in the toilet cubicle. When the luggage is out and it's safe and the car's there, then you get me out of the toilet cubicle, and it would always be the last onto the plane too.
So this was before, like, there were companies that did amazing private jets and stuff. He had to go on a jumbo jet or something. He didn't have his own plane. My
era is like 98 to when he died. So he'd use private jets from state to state in America, but he'd fly commercial.
Okay.
Yeah.
If he went first class, you hear... like when famous people book hotels, they like book the entire floor or something. Would he like book the whole of first class and no one else was in there apart from... No, he would be sat amongst everybody else. Okay.
You never know the money. I mean, it was very well known in my area. He'd no money, and they wouldn't, because he's Michael Jackson. We used to try it sometimes to try and get him free tickets and stuff like that, but yeah, he would pay first class, but it's sad. It's very sad, but he would get on the plane last, hide himself, and he would put a towel over his head for the whole flight.
Really?
Sometimes.
But we didn't have, like first class now, you got your own cubicle. And
yeah,
it wasn't like that back then.
It wasn't like that.
You still sitting next to someone.
And sometimes what would happen is that word would get around on the plane.
There's a guy with a towel on his head, and it might be.
Well, yeah, that he's been spotted and he's on the plane.
Yeah.
And then someone in first class would use the bathroom and catch a glimpse of him. Because he'd take the towel off eventually.
Yeah.
And they would get a camera and take a pic, even when he's sleeping, especially when he's sleeping. I'm like, do you mind? Mr. Jackson's
There must have been a proper camera then, right? Like an actual
we had
camera.
No smartphones back then, no iPhones, nothing. And then what happened then is once that happened once, word would get around the plane, and everyone's coming up to use the top toilet.
No way.
in a hope to get a glimpse or a picture of Michael Jackson sleeping. Yeah, there was no life. The guy was just worn down, beaten up by the media. They killed him. The media killed him.
I think like it was a big shock when you heard the news.
Yeah. I didn't think he was going to die. I thought he was going to cancel all the concerts.
Right.
I think he was going to die on us. No chance.
Yeah. I don't think that it's worth talking about that kind of, what happened, because it's very personal, and a death is so final, It's
a big thing, like you said, and I'm glad you said it, because as an American, you get it. UK, they don't get it so much. Prescription drugs in the States, especially Los Angeles, Hollywood, is just a thing. I mean, they're on this drug called OxyContin over there. Not even known over here. They just give you paracetamol over here for pretty much everything. But over there they got a wide range of opium-linked drugs, and the doctors, to get close to superstars, doctors have worked out, if you get them addicted on something, you're in their life forever. You're their best mate. And that's what we were dealing with. Not just with Michael, I've seen it with many superstars.
Did you know that back then? That he had a problem? And
I knew from day one, yeah. Demeanour had changed. He'd go in the bathroom, come out, and then 20 minutes later, be a different guy. Slurry or high as a kite. It wasn't hardcore drugs. It was what he died of, basically.
Yeah.
Like ephedrine and benzodiazepines, Valium, sleeping stuff, antidepressants. Yeah, it's just a thing. And it all came from the Pepsi burn. Because he did get badly hurt in that, didn't he? Yeah, 3rd degree or 4th degree burns.
I just think, everyone, if you just, a frying pan, just touch it, and you burn a little bit, it's like really,
burn right, his scalp out.
Really bad.
Messed him up completely. And because he's Michael Jackson, they didn't want him to be in pain. So I'm told by his close mates that back then he was overprescribed because they want to keep him happy. And he got hooked on it. And anyone would. It's normal. People get hooked every day because it's Michael Jackson's big news. And he died of what many stars are dying of. Drug overdoses by accident.
So security for Michael Jackson, that's really that. If someone has a hook, would you say that's your key hook? You can use
bane of my life. I've learnt to embrace it. I had to have counselling about it because up until he died, believe it or not, people would.
You wanted to probably be quiet about it.
No, I was in the media all the time about it, but it was, hey, that's Michael Jackson's mate. Hey, that's that multi-millionaire martial arts guy. That's our property tycoon. That's our business guy who's friends with Michael Jackson. As soon as he died, it went from anytime they write about me, former bodyguard to Michael Jackson. My life is much more than that. And it started to really get on my nerves. And the first few months was insane because you can't defame a dead person.
It becomes before your name.
It always will. And I've had to learn to deal with it. It's like with this podcast, is you could just put out an interview of multi-millionaire Matt Fiddes, got the largest chain, martial arts school, Matt Fiddes martial arts schools, property tycoon.
But it's like you go Michael Jackson.
You do a Michael Jackson former bodyguard, exclusive, multi-millionaire, it'll go freaking viral. Yeah. So I get it. I understand it. Yeah, it's just like the fans didn't get it because they're like, why'd you keep using Michael? No, I don't get a choice. I don't want them to mention it. I've done TV shows over here. Like
I don't think you are using Michael Jackson. I just think it's
need to.
Yeah.
I don't need to. And I'd rather not talk about him, but I know he inspires people. People love him so much, and he's huge. And what he's done for me too. And it's not many people who go out there and put their neck on the line and defend the bloke, but I was there behind the scene. I know exactly what's going on. And it's nothing like this nonsense they're coming up with. So being referred to as Michael Jackson's bodyguard, when I do TV shows and reality shows, sometimes I put contracts in place and I say, I'll go on your show, but you're not allowed to refer to me as being Michael Jackson's bodyguard. All about my own credentials and what I've done.
Yeah.
And that works. But then again, if they did use it, they would have millions more viewers.
Yeah.
But the mainstream media will report, Matt is on so-and-so TV show, former bodyguard to Michael Jackson, so you can never get away from it. I know Elvis Presley's bodyguard very well. And he went from being, it's called Bill Superfoot Wallace, American guy.
That's a cool name.
Bill Wallace, yeah, he's a genius, world champion, incredible guy. He went from literally being the karate champion of the world, one of the greatest kickers in the world, to being known now as Elvis's mate, bodyguard, teacher. He can't get away from it. You just got to learn to embrace it.
Yeah.
I'm proud of it now.
If you go back to the martial arts thing, and you've never stopped doing that and building that, and you've got it on your shirt now, has the growth of UFC helped? Because I haven't, I'm not I prefer to meet someone, speak to them.
Yeah.
Well, I want to speak to Matt.
Yeah.
So I can ask him whatever I want, and he's going to tell me. I'm not going to watch everyone else's podcast and all that. But I was thinking, because I'm a big UFC fan.
Yeah.
Your martial arts, like, really. Have you ever partnered with the UFC or like are fighters? Because like, I think UK's got 2 UK UFC champions now.
So in the UK, it's not a big thing, and it hasn't helped me. No, not in the slightest.
Do you think it may do?
No, because they're two different opposites to what I do. So I teach education. I teach controlled sparring. We do have an element of people want to go in world championships and want to compete and so on. So I am the opposite to UFC. So maybe like 5% of the population will be interested in taking class. Now, there's been UFC schools that have tried to do what I've do. They failed miserably because parents don't want to take their kids to come to a ring to get smashed up. They want to bring their kids to be more respectful, more disciplined, more confident, set goals and be successful.
Okay.
That's the business I'm in.
Okay, I'm getting it now.
So UFC is like the complete opposite to me. And it never really took off. It came here a little bit and went off. And I've never watched, this is the honest truth, I've never watched a UFC fight in my life.
Really?
I couldn't name a UFC champion other than the Gracies, probably.
Yeah, that's jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, that's jiu-jitsu also, yeah.
But I do like what you're saying because it's
totally opposite. Yeah. If I focused on UFC type fighting to build my business around that and a commercial element and franchise that out, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, it wouldn't be good for the photos either, like all black eyes and bloody lips.
It's not going to work, is it? Who's going to bring their kids to that? What woman's going to want to lose weight doing that?
Yeah.
You know, and like, I'm sure it's great. And also for me too.
But martial arts is the fitness aspect of it.
And too, social aspect, community, meeting friends.
Yeah. Because you're turning up.
Yeah.
You've got all your other people in the class that you may become mates with.
Yeah, you can meet your partner. A lot of them do. And it's a community aspect to it. And also with me too, my whole world's been martial arts. I don't know any different. The last thing I want to do when I go home is watch martial arts.
Yeah.
Because people say,
that makes sense,
I don't want to watch a martial arts movie or...
It's like being an accountant and going home and watching documentaries about accountancy or something,
I don't
if it exists.
But no, I never watched a UFC fight, ever. I haven't. Never watched one.
So now, would it be like Matt Fiddes, like motivational speaker?
Not motivation. I am more strategy.
Strategy.
I will teach you a strategy on how to build and scale a business, go global, and invest so you become financially free. That's what I'm all about.
People are asking you to go on stage, right?
All the time. I do it all the time, do it every month, yeah. But it's people who want to talk about the lessons I've learned from being around a guy who's built the biggest brand in the world, Micheal, you know. What did he teach me about media, marketing, social proof, going viral, property, the different types of property you invest in? This is the stuff I saw. Now, the motivational thing, the problem you got that, and I do well in the mentoring side because I just say it as it is.
Because a lot of them...
You're going to have hard times. You can't stay motivated every day.
No.
I lost my mum at 56, breast cancer. You try staying motivated after that.
Right.
And believing in certain things and so on. And you're going to have down days. You got to teach, you got to tell them real lessons. A lot of motivational speakers won't tell you that. You got to do this and get in a state. That's BS, man. You're going to have days you're going to be down. And
that motivational talk is a lot of the people that do it is BS.
Yeah, they come away from these 3-day events.
Big state, yeah.
And they come back and they ruin their marriage. But I see that happen a lot. So if your husband and wife goes on like a Tony Robbins course, that's great. It works fine.
Yeah.
But if one of them goes, they come back. One's pumped up. Yeah, let's do this. And the other one's like, what's wrong with you? Are you
gone mad?
He's brainwashed you.
Yeah. You're a different person now.
Yeah. So I don't believe in... You can be motivated, but the motivation needs to be, what is your why? Not everyone wants to be a millionaire. Maybe you want to be healthy. That's what's you got to keep reminding yourself your why, but you're going to have down days. Your kids are going to get ill. Things are going to go wrong. People are going to die. You're going to get ill. Things aren't going to go to plan. You're going to have to rewrite your plan. It's hard to stay motivated. So motivation speaker is not what I'm about. I'm a real life, hardcore, school of hard knocks. This is what I've done. It's some mistakes I've made. Don't do what I've done. Don't waste all your thousands of pounds on these stupid courses and people who've got rich from selling courses to get you rich. That's what they've basically done. Hiding behind Lamborghinis and jets they don't own. Do due diligence. I will tell you as it is because I've got nothing to sell you. I literally have a membership site which is £9.99 a month for mf.club. That is it. I put everything on there, give it all away. I put on events which are free. I get top celebrities because my contact book's insane to come along, and I teach you real lessons. And none of my speakers, mentors, are allowed to pitch you a damn thing. You can keep your wallet in your car. And they're like, wow, you're different to the others. I said, that's exactly how I do it.
So what is it? So it's mf.club.
Yeah, it's just a website, www.mf.club. It stands for money freedom. It's my passion. I do it for fun. I record videos every week and put events on. And
any one part of it can go to these events.
Yeah, 5,500 people in there now. And it's, they get to access to the events that normally people would charge £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 for. And I just tell them as it is, from property, entrepreneurship to investing. And it upsets a lot of entrepreneurs out there, like, because they're charging 25, 30, 40 grand.
Yeah.
To be part of this mastermind or that mastermind. I just hit it all out. Boom, done in a day. Simple as that. Yeah, I don't care. I made my money. I've gone from the days where you go to an event where it's just content for 3 days, you come back, no one's pitching you stuff, to now where 1 hour content-ish and then pitch. And they don't teach you what to do. They teach you, they put it across in such a way that you think you've learned something. You come away from an event, they're like, I actually learned it. I've got to buy a course to find out how to do this.
Got to get all the books to remember what they were saying.
Yeah,
and
it's all on YouTube anyway. I just tell it as it is, and it upsets a lot of people, but I don't care less. I've been straight talking on this podcast, haven't I? I don't hold back.
Right.
I don't believe, for my own personal opinion here, right? I can't speak for anyone else. There's a lot of idiots out there who are buying courses without doing any due diligence. Ask them for their bloody bank statements for the last 5 years, proof of accounts, proof of their property portfolio, proof that they're worth millions.
Proof that they've been successful before they're talking about it.
Part with 30, 40, 50,000 pounds. I bet someone recently spent £151,000 on courses and is living in a caravan now with their 2 kids.
I'm going to leave on this. Coming into London, so we both come into London from different ways and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you like coming into London?
No.
Okay.
I get in here, I do what I have to do, and I get out.
Yeah.
It's not like it used to be. You can never guarantee. I live in Devon, right? So that's on a train.
It's a very nice place, by the way.
It's beautiful, and that's why I lived there. I've got an incredible home there. But you can't guarantee the trains are going to work anymore, and it's just roadworks everywhere, and underground's unreliable, and unfortunately we got
managed to keep
terrorist
moving,
attacks a lot here, as you've probably seen, but you're privileged that don't have so much where you are, and it's just not the same. So I come in, do what I have to do, and I get the heck out.
So the answer is no.
No, I wouldn't do
Unless
it.
you have to.
Well, I can be, if I really want to be in London fast, I could hire a helicopter and be here in half an hour.
Yeah.
Why do I want to live in London be here? It's just chaotic. You see what it's like out there. It's mad.
Yeah.
It's completely mad. It's like
it's a madhouse.
You can never. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but no, it's great. I love having interviews and trying to inspire people. That's what it's all about.
All right. Well, definitely appreciate your time.
But
Glad we sorted it out.
podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for flying in. I appreciate it.
No worries, man.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you very much.
All right. Cheers, man.